And we are going to record this first part of the main introduction. Once we go into breakout rooms, we will no longer be recording in those rooms, and we will not come back to the main room. So we're just recording this first portion here. And I think if we can go to the next slide, I may have some introductions to make. There's going to be a few speakers that will start out this introduction section here in the main room. Kamal Patel of Traversal, along with Ashley of Traversal, Bryce from RRS, Liz from Start Consulting, and Christy from Cascadia. These folks are involved deeply in the NextCycle Washington program and are here to guide you through your questions. There will be time to ask those questions as we go through the process. Kamal, I did forget to ask, do we want questions to come through the chat box, or we want people to raise their hands? How did you want to work with that? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I meant to say I'm going to share the right screen first. And yeah, I mean, what do you think? I'll follow you.
I think if folks, because the chat might get a little busy, if you have a question, I would say raise your hand. There's a raise your hand function. If you hover over, I think there is. Holy crap, let me see. Oh, I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's in the reaction.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, if you go to, there might be a menu option at the bottom that has the 3 dots and it says more, and you can go to reactions and there's a raise hand. And so if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand. And then Bryce just raised his hand. Thank you very much, sir. And as we go through, we'll try to pause and grab some of those questions. Or we'll hit them up right at the end before we go into the breakout sessions to clarify anything. Know that those breakout rooms are going to, we'll go over what they're going to cover, but you can ask deeper questions and more specific questions in those breakout rooms. That's what those are there for, but don't hesitate to raise a hand if you have a general question during this first section. At this point, I'm going to hand it off to Kamal. It's all yours, and I'm going to shush up for now.
Nice. Thanks, Emrad. Yeah, and you might see Emrad later if we're going to have like some room surfing. So you might get to chat with Emrad a little more later. So hi, everybody. My name is Kamal. I'm helping with the engagement part for NextCycle Washington. So I just wanted to share the agenda. This is the basics of the day. So first, the welcome and framing. We're going to spend about 10 minutes just to explain like what are we doing here today. First, just a reminder that this session is modular. Or maybe not a reminder, just like setting the stage. So we will have the first 10 minutes just to go over some basics, but then once you go into the breakout rooms, which will happen in a probably after 15-20 minutes or so, since we will have a little bit of Q&A, then once you're done in those rooms, you don't have to come back. If you've gotten your answer to your question, you don't have to come back. There will be no like final closing at the end of this. So come here for what you need, and then you're welcome to leave. So Bryce is going to be introducing a little bit of the materials landscape of what are we trying to do in Seattle and King County and Washington? What is the circular economy material landscape? Like Emrad mentioned, we're not coming back to this main room, so you can leave whenever you need to. But just know that we will show a few details about additional application support outside of this workshop/party. So I'll bring up Bryce in a moment, but just to give you a layout of the breakout rooms, and I'll show this again when we finally go into breakouts. So there'll be a main party room. This is where Emrad will be to help you. If you leave a room, Emrad will have some nice 80s music for you and help you get back to where you need to be. Room 1 is basically the 101 introduction room, and it's also just a workshop. A lot of the work we're doing with NextCycle and even this concept itself came from a co-design process that the community was involved in to help lower barriers to the application process. So one request was a place to workshop as well as like a needs assessment. So in this room, we're going to do a little bit of a needs and offers kind of board, and we're just going to all have a turn to talk about what we need, what we have to offer to build out this NextCycle network, including your own projects. Maybe you're not ready to start the application, but you're thinking about it. The second room will be the getting started room, and you're ready to apply. They're going to go, this is Liz and Christy will go through a application packet walkthrough, and then they can also ask, answer any specific questions you might have. If you have more specific questions, there'll be follow-up one-on-one time that you can set up if you have deeper questions that can't get answered today. Same with specific questions in room 3. Maybe you're further along, but you have specific questions like budget or how to answer a specific question. You'll be in the room with Bryce, and Bryce can help you dive a little deeper. And if there's not enough time today to we'll send you a link so that you can sign up for more time with specific folks. Anything else before I begin to bring Bryce on? All right, so Bryce, I'm going to give you the floor here.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Can you all hear me okay? Take that as a
Yes.
Yes.
cool.
Good.
Yeah, so I thought it would be useful. We thought it would be useful to kind of set the stage a little bit and provide a little bit of background data that can help as you're thinking about your projects and framing it. And so this is kind of a level setting opportunity. And you may have seen some of these slides before. We're not going to go into great detail, but I thought it's worth sharing. So you can go on to the next one. This is a chart that you've probably seen several times. And this is just to frame, you know, the scope and really the broad scope of this whole project and the types of applicants that we're looking for. Is basically, if you find yourself on the left side of the screen, linear, take, make, use, waste, this isn't the room for you. If you see yourself on the right side of this is the room for you. And so really any intervention that is taking that linear pathway, intervening there and then creating a different pathway that cycles it back upstream, either into a new product or to reuse the same product and basically keep materials in use longer, that's what we're looking to support. And so this is the shift that we're looking to make and why we're supporting this program. Next, please. So here's just a few examples of some of the teams that we're supporting in the accelerator. So as you may or may not know, we're talking about the seed grant here today. That's the second component in the program. The other component is an accelerator, where we're taking projects that have shown early promise and are helping to make them grow. And so this gives us a sense of the types of projects that we like to see in the program that have been successful going through the application process and the accelerator side of things, which can help inform your efforts in the seed grant. So there's reuse businesses. So one of them is Okapi Reusables. They have a model where they're working with local coffee shops to provide a reusable cup system instead of single-use paper cups. Another one is a share economy. So that's the South King County Tool Library, where instead of everyone going out and buying a hacksaw that they're going to use 2 times and then have it rust in their basement, this is an opportunity to share. And so fewer, this is a waste prevention strategy where fewer materials are needing to be purchased and we're sharing. So it's really that share model that that there's opportunities here. And then the final one, recycle. This might be more familiar to a lot of you. One of the teams here is Ground to Glass, where they're working with wineries in Walla Walla, and they're looking to aggregate and bring those bottles in and getting them to markets to make new bottles out of them. And so we can move on to the next one. I think this is some really useful data, and I would encourage you to consult this resource as you're pulling your applications together. This basically shows us this frames the opportunity. right here, our partners at Cascadia have dug through the trash and to determine what of value is going into the landfill. And in this sense, that is the opportunity in front of us, because that's currently being wasted and these are valuable resources. And so you'll see here the types of materials that could be recovered that are currently not being recovered. That really frames the opportunities. You'll see organics, plastics, paper, other, which includes textiles and things of that nature. Those are really big opportunities there. So those projects that are focused on those specific waste streams, you know that there's going to be a lot of materials available, and those materials, if your business model and whatnot can find value in those and return them to the economy, that's a winning model there. So thank you for adding that link to the chat. I would encourage you to look at that. I think it does have it broke down on a county by county basis. So this is the statewide, but you can actually zoom in on your specific part of the state as well to look a little bit closer. So we kind of took that data and put it into an economic model that we developed to show really the opportunity for reaching zero waste goals. And so this kind of takes that same data, looks at it a little bit different way, but it tells the same story, that organics, plastics, paper, textiles, glass, these are things that we can really focus on. And so as you're developing your applications, being able to point to data sources, this right here defines a value proposition. So if you have a company, you're doing composting, and you make the strong point that, hey, food scraps are the #1 thing that we need to recover more of if we're going to meet zero waste goals in Washington. My project is focusing on that. You've made your value proposition right there, and you're showing the gap that you're covering. And so that's something that we really want to encourage, is to really base your project. Let's look at the data. This waste characterization is a really good starting point to frame your value proposition. And I guess that's it. So happy to talk more about the data, and yeah, reach out. We can talk in the room, or you can reach out and do office hours if you want to talk more about unpacking that data and how you can use it in your application.
Thank you, Bryce. So yeah, I'll be showing office hours info in a second. So here is other application support. Again, this is the final part of this. If you think this is enough info and you can go, that's fine. So basically today we're going to go through, in room 2, we're going to go through the application guidelines. So you'll be able to just follow along to see how to think about the application guidelines and the application itself. We're also going to introduce the application mentors. These are folks in your community who can help you kind of figure out where to go and how to just suss out where you need to go next. And then the application parties. And then I will show a little bit of the office hour info as well. So first things is the application parties and key dates. So the Sea Grant opened in September 18th. Today is the 13th. We will have another one of these on the 10th. So that way you can finalize your application and get it in before the 16th. So if you have other teams that you want to bring into this, or if you have more questions, the 10th is another opportunity from 12 to 1:30. Throughout this whole thing, there will be one-on-one support, so you will learn more about that. Key thing to remember about the timeline is after November, we'll be deciding on cohorts around the cohort around December, and giving answers on who got selected in January. So that's when we'll be onboarding teams and bringing folks on. And then the goal is to submit all of the grant funds to your receipts for reimbursement by June 15th. So again, those details can be in the application packet, and you can get more details there. I did want to give a little bit of info on the vision for this. We are trying to create sort of a network ecosystem. So we're looking across the states to find nodes of communities working together. And to remind you, like, this is your circular economy network, but we can't do this by ourselves. Like, this takes an ecosystem. So that's kind of what we're here to help create. So we wanted to introduce you to some of the folks who are applicant mentors in the room. They come from all across the state representing different communities, and we're trying to help them build out their own networks. So we're going to bring them on, and I'm going to move left to right, and they're just going to give you a quick intro on who they are. And if you want to reach out to them, you can direct message them on a chat, and they can connect to you directly. So I'm going to start with Cami. Cami, if you can come on camera and just say hello and a little bit.
I'm here. I'm here. Hello. I know at least some of you already. Do you want us to say more specifically?
Yeah, like what communities you can support is probably the best. Yeah.
So as some of you know, I'm very involved with the repair economy, which covers maker spaces, tool libraries, and repair groups, both sort of formal structures and emerging, evolving networks of folks involved in that space. Also working heavily, I would say more focused in Western Washington, but we've got contacts across the state and are really trying to develop the bonds between everybody to support them all.
Awesome. Is Maria here? Okay, I don't think Maria is here. Troy, do you want to just say some of your background and how you support communities?
Of course, I'm Troy Homba. I'm a Karuk Native member. I'm also down in Central Chehalis area in Lewis County. I'm really in the reuse field. We work with organic waste and tire waste and turn it into usable products like through pyrolysis into biochar, bio-oil, and synthetic gas, and we're working to actually bring that into hydrogen as well, generation. So that's kind of what I do, and I look forward to meeting you guys and talking with you and helping you guys through the process and getting you guys' businesses and concepts off the ground. So thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to speaking with you guys.
Thank you, Troy. Yeah, so Carol in Okanagan, let's say hello. I hope, are you on mute or mute? No, I see you trying to get off. There you go.
Got me?
Yep, there you are.
Okay. Hi, Carol Lanigan, Okanagan County, North Central Washington. I work with Green Okanagan, who does recycling, and we also do reuse through our thrift store. And I'm really excited about starting some other projects in our area. So I've been reaching out and trying to get some community compost going, some reuse projects or repair and reusing. So I'm pretty excited about this project and the opportunities that it's providing for us.
Awesome, thank you, Carol. So we have April from the Ellensburg area.
Hi.
Hey, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hi, my name's April Sheely, and I live in Ellensburg, Washington. I'm a co-founder of the Ellensburg Glass Recycling, which is actually repurposing of glassware, which could be either we crush glass with community members. We have over 130 volunteers that bring up their collections and crush glass into sand. We sieve some of that into color separated in 5 different grades. We make sea glass, like a faux sea glass. We repurpose bottles and into glassware and create different specialty markets. And we've been at the farmers market. We're looking into moving into a group space. And I'm looking to support just people. I've really been focused on glass, but also in compost, reuse, repair, yeah, and all the way down into Yakima County, trying to support all those folks too.
Perfect. Thanks. April, Hannah is here. And you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. Hannah Mello, she, her pronouns, and I'm in Walla Walla, Washington on the east side of the state. And working with small businesses, I often interact with folks in brand and business development, where folks are looking at how do I expand or augment our practices to better align with our values from a holistic perspective. So folks here in the party that are interested in those kinds of questions around aligning projects for NextCycle application really embedded in their work long term, that's a really exciting conversation to have. And I'm excited to work with folks in different sectors. So far, some conversations with folks in education, universities here in town, some folks in hospitality, kind of across different groups. So glad to be with you, and yeah, open welcome to support, and looking forward to seeing how this takes shape.
Wonderful. Thank you. And is Anna here?
She had an emergency come up, so she's
Okay,
not
cool.
here. Yeah.
Cool. Anna also has background in sustainable networks. I think she runs a sustainable network in the Spokane area. So if anyone needs a connection with Anna or Maria, let me know. Maria does speak Spanish, so if that's a need here, that's someone we can help connect you with as well. Yeah, so you'll see these folks in the rooms, you know, again, if they're near your location or if they kind of work with the kinds of materials or systems you're using, please network with them. They're also helping raise awareness about the program to help build more regional awareness to apply for NextCycle. So I'm going to move on. I don't think we have much else. So basically the main goal is if the applicant mentors can't answer your question, or if you have more questions, you can reach out individually to Bryce, Christy, myself, or Liz. Bryce has more experience with downstream organics, so recycling, things of that nature. Liz and Christy both have experience with application support for upstream projects, so things like reuse and share. And I'm more of like community engagement, so if you need connection with the mentors, or if you just have questions about partnerships, you can reach out to me. And we will put a link in, we just put a link in there for those office hours. And this is for any additional questions you have about your application process, etc. And I got one more slide. So this is the breakout room. You know, like I mentioned, there's always office hours available. So if what you learned today or here today, you don't get the resources you need, reach out. So again, room 1, we're going to do sort of a needs and offers room. This is kind of, you know, if you're not sure how to start, this is kind of the room for you. We're just going to have a general discussion about needs and offers to build out our network. And me and Ashley are going to help kind of lead a little exercise there and have a little discussion. Room 2, led by Christy and Liz, if you're just getting started and need some help walking through the application. And then room 3, if you have specific questions like budget and eligibility or specific questions, you can speak with Bryce. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to allow for questions, and then I'm going to open up the rooms. And again, this is the last. You don't have to come back to this room. You can just get your question answered and have a nice evening. So I'm going to pause. Any thoughts, questions? Yes, please.
My question is about the application process. So I see there'd be 2 places for me to go for this, but I'm just starting to log into the application and I see it requires the EIN or tax ID number. We haven't started with any of that, so I can't really create a login to see the application. Presumably that's by design. Is there anything you'd recommend? I'd like to get a sense of what the application is, other than I see I'm going to have the application instructions packet.
I'll let Bryce or Liz or Christy answer.
Yeah, so that is, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I think we're going to say the same thing. It's to set up the account, it shouldn't be required. And then 2, I think you can go back and fill that in, and Bryce, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's part of the office hours too. If you're kind of getting to that point where you're needing it throughout. So you don't need to have the EIN or UBI, which is the unique business identifier for the state of Washington. You don't need to have that during the application process. However, if you are awarded grant funds, you will need to have those numbers in place in order to receive the funds. Are you asking, Dominic, more because you're kind of in that exploratory phase of deciding if you're ready to take that step, or you just don't have that yet?
No, I'm asking because I'm on the create new account page and I don't seem to be able to get past that, you know, creating a new account for the application without a number, which says it's required. There's a little asterisk there. I mean, maybe I don't need it, but I mean, maybe, I mean, I obviously need an account to move forward with that, but so it's sort of like, yeah, is that was, anyway, pretty sure about this. I'm looking
So
at
Dominic, the other thing to look at, that application packet itself, in the appendix, it actually has all the questions. So,
oh, mhm.
so that's where you would look. Yeah, so that's where you would refer to. Those are the questions that are being asked.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to look at that because it was in the application itself. We did not, you know, you can go and fill everything out, even without that one. So,
Yeah, because I mean, my sense of it is that presumably there are going to be some questions that I will be able to answer at this stage, even though, yes, we're at the very basic. Yeah, I want to start a tool library in Shoreline. Where do I begin? But we have a sense of that and what our budget and purpose and all of that might be. So I'd love to, and it looks like I can fill out the application, save it as I go along, and then come back and, you know, then later answer the questions that I don't currently know the answers to.
Correct.
But not without that EIN number.
Right, you just can't submit without it. Is that what you're seeing?
No, I'm just saying I can't get past page 1. I mean, it's
There's actually, I was just messaging Bryce. We might have to see if we can fix it on the back end. We didn't realize that was a barrier because it is a required asterisk field. So we'll see if we can get that changed on our end.
To create the account.
Yeah, I went in and it has a required, it's a field required.
Okay.
But I will say, as a small business owner, that was probably getting my EIN number was the easiest process of all government registrations, surprisingly.
Good to hear.
But Dominic, feel free to reach out and we're happy to help you with that process too. If we don't get this resolved before you're ready to get going.
Yes, Liz, I think I have an appointment with you.
Dominic. Thanks for alerting us to that.
Well, you know, it's my former profession was I was the director of user experience research at Chase. So I'm all about the UI.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Perfect. Any other questions before we open up breakout rooms? Applicant mentors, if you have questions about where you're going, we're thinking, you know, start with room 1 and then can explore, or if you want to join a team you brought in, you can follow them. Just a little FYI. If there's no other questions, I think I'm going to open up the rooms. We are at time, so